Hello, dzień dobry wszystkim. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for organizer for inviting me. This talk today I will devote to everything that's connected to running the businesses as a concept artist, as an artist. It can be helpful for not only the concept artists, but also illustrators, designers, producers, and so on. So maybe just a quick introduction, since everyone's journey is different, right? My name is Darek, and I started concept art like around 10 years ago, but it was always just my hobby. I didn't really plan to do that to become my profession, right? I've been doing that because I love drawing. I loved running around as a small kid with a pencil and a paper. So I had this like a little slides of like the journey time, because I was born in 1991, and around like when I was 2-3 years old, I started drawing. I was super inspired by Lion King. It was my first big inspiration. Maybe for some of you also, if you guys are familiar with the cartoon, I guess you are. And I was just starting drawing, like drawing different scenes from the movie. I was also super inspired at the time by Jurassic Park, that was that was also like a blockbuster at the time. And I just basically started like incorporating what I saw into my own ideas, into my own pictures. I always wanted to create, not only just copy what I see, but I also wanted to create my own stuff. Back in 2003 was I having that like a set of different slides, as you can see, because I call all those moments my breakthrough in my life. In 2003, I was super hyped about like gaming. You know, I was playing games, I was playing Quake, Call of Duty, you know, all those. I still do sometimes, even though I'm not a hardcore player anymore. And I was always inspired by those people that were creating the games. Even though, you know, I was born in Poland, I was born in Gdańsk actually, and I didn't know there is such market to actually work as an artist, to work as a designer for those productions. You know, I was imagining, yeah, this might be probably for people who live in Hollywood or like, you know, in States, right, in general. Not for someone like me from Poland. But I was still like inspired, and I was just kind of catering towards like getting better at, you know. And in 2006, 2007, one of my colleagues at school gave me, or like borrowed me, the tablet, a graphic tablet, and I started like drawing on it. You know, I didn't know that such thing existed before, and I was super hyped and inspired by Polish concept artist Marek Okoń, and tried to copy him. You know, like I didn't know anything about digital art, so I tried to copy him. As you can see, maybe you're familiar with his work. This is like a very bad copycat. You know, like I tried to be him, but of course I failed miserably. Later on in 2013, there were like some first works that I could consider myself, it starts to click, you know. It took me quite a while, as you can see, 6-7 years. These days, like if I look at this new kids, newcomers to concept art field, within 1 year they can work on AAA productions. For me, unfortunately, it took me a lot of time. Was I silly? Was I like non-educated? I don't know, but there was no YouTube, there was no tutorials back then, and it was just like getting started. So in 2013, I saw there was like a contest in States, Infected by Art, and there was a publisher that was about to make a book about like the art of fantasy and sci-fi throughout the whole world. And I sent some of my works, including this little reinterpretation of Nazgul from Lord of the Rings, and I won the contest. I don't know how, I was lucky, but I won the contest, and I was invited to Comic-Con in States. So this was my first time that I could move from Poland to like such a, you know, abroad and already to States. And I was on the Comic-Con, I was presenting my work there, even though my presence online was non-existent. I had like 3,000 followers on DeviantArt or whatever, which is like nothing compared to like those people that were presenting the works there. And I was super hyped. I visited Hollywood Grumman Workshop School, and I realized that I just know what I want to do. You know, like from the moment that I was thinking that this is my hobby, I just started like thinking that this is what I want to do. I did like a little bit of like illustrations back then, at the time doing like some card games, but I knew it's not something that I want. You know, I wanted to work on AAA stuff, you know, movies and games. So I was just grinding, you know, I was trying to get better, and in 2016, I already had like pretty stable position in the field. I was working for some of the big companies like Ubisoft, Sony, Framestore, ILM, and so on. Sorry, ILM, no. I had like a contact with them, but I didn't work with them, so I'm gonna make it straight. But there was a time that I felt like it's getting to the point that I'm getting what I want, you know, like it's, you know, I always try to stay grounded, so every time that something happens, I always try to get better at it, you know, it's not self-fulfillment, I always feel like I need to do more. And 2020 was one of my most popular work online that I did for myself. It was a personal project, but I gave it to my good friend who is like who loves like sailing, and he was always asking me, "Hey, Darek, can you make, if you have time, can you make this like a marine-oriented or marine-themed painting for me?" And I did it. You know, I took like it took me a while. It took me like a month to finish that, but this was like the work that kind of like exploded and took me even further in the concept art field. So today I will be talking not only about myself, because I don't want it to look like I'm just talking about myself. I'm gonna talk you through and take you through my experiences and how I see certain things in concept art field. It, again, might relate to what you guys are doing, whether you're illustrators, whether you're graphic designers, or people in the game dev or film industry. So if you start the journey, it starts with like doing the stuff that's very important, but it doesn't have the flesh out of the whole production, right? When I was starting out, I was doing some props, you know. My first big job was in Sony Guerrilla Games back in 2015, and I was doing a lot of props. I was doing a lot of sketches, designs on the side, developing certain aspect of the production. But it didn't have the whole impact as a general scope of art like the senior guys are doing, for instance, or general concept artists are doing. So I just want to make sure that you guys get the point, you know, how it actually looks like in terms of timeline. And these days, as I said, some junior artists can already work on the stuff that's taken from the senior guys, and it can be developed within like a year or two. Usually, to become regular concept guy, it might take you up to 4 years, right? 2, 3, 4 years. Even if you just guys see the requirements for a job or some certain like a job opportunities, you have those like little notes about like how many years in the experience or how many years of experience you gotta have to have, you know? In the end of the day, it might not only be that, because if people love your work and you will prove that you are worthy in the production pipeline, you might not need like 4 years, right? But it's just like a general scope. Later on, when you are a senior guy, you guys end up having like a 5 years plus experience, and you're gonna actually start doing the layout sketches and fleshing out the composition, fleshing out the whole game aspect. You know, if you guys are producing or programming or modeling stuff in a game, you will see that it starts with the general scope, right? We, as a concept artist, are in the very beginning of the production, right? We just gonna flesh out, inspire the team, make a certain mark based on someone else's idea, or basically what we can bring to the table, and present it as a general scope of what you guys will be working on, right? As a game. Because with each game, each movie, it always starts with some sketch. It always starts with some concept. It always starts with some idea. And this is, for instance, what a lot of senior positions are doing. Also working closely with production designers and art directors. This position is what I experienced after 8 years in the industry. I started getting like this more art direction roles positions, right? And across the years, I've been working through all those stages. And as I said in the beginning, it doesn't mean that if you have 8 or 10 years experience, you cannot do prop designs or you cannot do layout sketches. I love jumping from topic to topic and love basically developing my skills, even if they are like on the lower grade level, you know, even if I just have to like help with some like junior artists and make the, you know, more of like a prop designs, you know. This is very important, that if you stay open-minded, if you stay grounded, you can have a fun with a lot of different stuff on all different levels, right? So this is just a scrap of some of my works from our station. As you can see, you know, there are some prop designs. I don't know if you guys see it well. There's like some sketches, layout sketches, environment designs, illustrations. It's a bit of everything, but maybe it's because of my nature. I love doing a bit of everything, right? These are some of the projects that I just recently shipped, some of those that are already announced, some of those that probably you guys know very well because they are on the market for quite a while. And all those I contributed to on different aspects, you know. For instance, working on The Witcher, I just did the cover art, right? But working, for instance, on Love, Death and Robots, New Assassin's Creed, or Planet of the Apes, I helped flesh out the world. I helped making the world alive. I helped art direction those projects, right? And it also shows me, you know, across the years how it's changed, because I started my career, you know, 2014, 2013. It was like basically when I did this Witcher cover. So very back then, and basically the beginnings of my career. And speaking of the skills, I will be still feeding you with some pictures, so I hope I won't bore you, but it's very important to make those points. You can be one specialized guy. You can be specialized in one certain things. I know amazing artists that just do one thing, that do like character art, they do like mech designs, they do environments. But you can also be the guy that has multiple skills, and I'm gonna talk about it quite extensively because it's very important. When you have actually more skills and when you basically develop more skills, you also need to be aware of what your strength is, you know, because even if you tell me like, hey, Darek, maybe can you paint me like a horse, or can you paint me like a castle? I will do that, but I know that maybe one team or another will be less quality, right? Like I cannot be, and there is no person that can be amazing in everything at the same time, or the best at the same time, right? And how does it look like on the graph if you are a concept artist? You know, like in that case, as you can see, I use the character designer. I know some amazing character designers, like Raffaele Grassetti, for instance, right? He is focused just on that. He is art directing God of War project, but he is mostly you know, focused on just character art, character design. Maybe the other aspect, like environment design, vehicle design, keyframe, props, whatever, he is less skilled. Maybe he is still skilled, but he doesn't like doing that, you know? We don't know. But what I stand for as an artist, what I stand for as myself, I love doing a bit of everything because I'm always hungry for more. I'm always unsatisfied with what I do. And of course, I'm familiar with, and I'm aware that environment design, world building, that's what most of my clients come for, that they know me from. But I try to also develop on other areas, like vehicle design, character design, you know, illustrations, prop design. I just love tackling that no matter what it is, right? And it's very important, if you guys are ambitious, I'm not saying that someone who does one thing is not ambitious, but if you're ambitious to try different things at the same time, do it. But don't forget about your main thing. In Poland, we call it your horse, your konik, your main thing. We call it in Poland. And I'm trying to remember and reminding myself what I'm basically knowing the best, right? In my little area. And I know that I won't be probably the best in doing other stuff, but I can always try to develop and level up, you know, no matter what. And some of my works, just to show, you know, just to put things into perspective, I always believe that it's very important to have your trademark pieces, the pieces that probably draw attention of your clients. If you guys are doing, like, for instance, programming, you might be the geniuses in coding, you know. If you guys are doing web designs, you want to also showcase it in your portfolio. And these are the pieces that need to stand out and promote you, because this is the best promotion is by doing the best work, you know. Like, I'm not believing that you can just beautifully talk about your art. It's rather doing the practical part and showing to the world that you can actually do it, right? So some of the selection of the pieces that I did, as I said, Windmill Town, a personal piece. Another personal piece from 2016, I think it was also on the graph. First concept I did for Assassin's Creed back in 2015, I guess. So it was my first proper AAA project. I was working back then at Sony Guerrilla Games, but the first big title that I believed is going to be my breakthrough was Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Some of the other personal pieces like Vault. I love just exploring different worlds. What it also helped me showing is that I like different worlds, different styles, different ideas, and it also generates the, the scope for drawing attention to the clients, right? The March piece, some of like the sketches, very rough as you can see, very dirty painting. And sometimes if I like certain series, I'm just developing it into other pieces, like doing more than one frame, trying different designs. Right now I'm focusing on this Homecoming series and basically putting the work also on other aspects, like doing my own vehicles, my own designs, right now in 3D software, which is I'm still learning, but it's getting there, slowly but surely. Some other of the series, some other personal pieces. This was done for NVIDIA, just when I was doing the tutorials for them on the RTX cards. This was done for the Neil Blomkamp. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the director name. He was director of the Elysium and District 9. Right now he's working on a game called Off the Grid. So this is the piece that I did to flesh out the world look. And my main task actually in this project was to design that huge platform in the back. And I did like a couple rough sketches. I also did very detailed prop designs of that element, but I cannot show it yet. So this is the only kind of super rough, like 1 hour concept that I did that was released to the press. Some of the stuff from MouseGuard, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. There was a project based on the comic book that was developed by 20th Century Fox, but 20th Century Fox was actually getting leased by Disney at the time. And when we were already after a whole year of pre-production, when they started shooting, there was supposed to be like a real movie based on like a motion capture technology with like photorealistic graphic made by Weta. When they were about to start shooting the movie, Disney scrapped it. Like Disney bought the Fox and they decided they don't want to have the MouseGuard, which is a shame because it was like one of the biggest and one of the most enjoyable projects in terms of commercially in my life. I had a lot of freedom, a lot of frames, a lot of world building. This is beautiful, like having like the comic and trying to reinterpret it on your own, redesigning the world to your own fashion was amazing. But unfortunately, it was scrapped. Still some pictures are floating in the internet. There are some rumors that the project might be picked up again. I'm in the call, like sometimes I'm just talking to Wes Ball, the director of, that was supposed to be director for MouseGuard. He directed also Maze Runner trilogy, and we worked lately on the Planet of the Apes. And he says that there is still a hope for MouseGuard one day, but maybe not now. Some other projects, other concepts from this project, like I was doing not only the world building, I was doing a lot of illustration, I was doing keyframes, I was doing asset creations, prop designs, super fun project, like an incredible journey. Some illustration, just to show you that I'm also doing sometimes Magic the Gathering cards, if I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Who is familiar with Love, Death and Robots? Is anyone that watched this on Netflix? Okay. You should watch it, guys. It's amazing. Like it's an animation series. It's produced by David Fincher. It's like episodes divided to 15 minutes. Every episode is a different story. And I was super lucky enough, super proud to work on the Pop Squad episode. One of my favorite, actually. Very, very deep, very dark tone of the production. So I was helping fleshing out the world. Recently, I just received in my inbox inbox art book of that production, and I saw a lot of amazing art. A lot of like job has been done by concept artists, and when the project comes out, you feel happy that the project actually made it, right? Like you cannot say the same about the canceled project, but this was actually one of my most favorite projects, and it fortunately was a big success. So I was working in this Pop Squad episode on exterior but also interior designs for the penthouse, for the main party area, helping to flesh out the look of the ceremonial entrance and the area inside of the buildings. This was actually made with the mixed techniques. I did a bit of 3D, I did a bit of painting, and the 3D block out that I did for this area, I sent to the Blur studio, and they were basically redoing that properly for the series, right? For the special episode. Some other concepts of the world, exteriors like showing the city, fleshing out the mood, fleshing out the shapes, fleshing out the tone of the production. Super fun, always job. And as you can see, also I did this Witcher cover just to show you that I'm not only focused on the concepts, but sometimes I also do cover arts and so on. I prefer rather concepts, but I'm happy for the local company like CD Projekt. I was also able to do such thing. And our job, how does it differ being an artist in this field, or how does it differ to have my job or our job versus average person? And in no way I'm not disrespecting anyone or I actually am envy of people that have this graph. This is the healthy graph. If you divide your day by 3, you have a perfect sense of sleep, you have a perfect sense of regular job from 9 to 5 or from 8 to 4, and after hours activities. It can be gym, it can be spending time with your wife, spending time with your pets, whatever, driving the car, whatever you like, right? This is the healthy, and I think for me a little bit utopian way of living. How does it look like if you're an artist? Sometimes it's really that bad, sometimes it's not that bad. I'm trying to work and grind for getting better work and life routine. But as you can see, creative work takes most of my day. It's like 50–60%, and I'm just gonna make it straight. It's not that I always have to paint or I always have to do something. I'm just thinking about the stuff. When I'm even on a coffee with my wife, I'm just looking at the surrounding. It's very nerdy, like it might sound crazy, but it's very nerdy that I'm looking around, I'm trying to understand the lighting situation, I'm trying to understand material definition of that certain table, of that certain chair. This is actually how to analyze the life as an artist, and this is why it takes me that much time, The other activities are, as you can see, gym, swimming. It's 10% of the day. It doesn't mean it needs to be 2.5 hours per day, but it can be, like 1 hour of walk with the dog, 30 minutes of exercising, 30 minutes of swimming. I'm trying to work my routine not to get stale, because I'm 32 years old and I'm already sometimes feel like 52 years old, or even more. But if I move around, I feel much better. So I think that's very important to work this routine. Sleep is 20%. Of course, sometimes it's exaggerated. Sometimes when I crunch, when I have the project that I have to deliver, I definitely don't sleep that much. I sleep 3–4 hours, that's it, But if I can, I'm trying to fix that. Today I slept 6, which is quite good, I guess. But I'm trying to work that routine. I'm just showing you that the life, when you actually devote everything, actually how much you have to devote, is really what you get, right? Because I know a lot of concept artists, I know a lot of friends that are more structured than me. But, they are happy with what they have, I'm always hungry for more. This is like kind of psycho, but I'm always hungry for more, like to get better, to just grind for more, to work on better projects, to be better in terms of performance, right? Social life, 5%. You might ask, oh, this guy is a nerd. Like, yes and no. I love going out to people. I don't have problems talking to you. I don't have problems going out and just having fun. But even if the social life takes more of the 5% of my life, I'm still getting back to creative work. I'm trying to understand the surrounding. Even if I look at this guy, for instance, beard, and I can understand, the lighting situation, that we have like pretty dim light here, so there is not much highlights on his beard, for instance. The beard is also dry right now, Maybe if it was wet, maybe if he was standing in the rain, we would see the nice speculars, right? So this is the thing that I'm considering creative work, even if I don't actually do practically part. And the other thing, the last actually thing of that graph is promoting, marketing your art. This is very tough, especially the artists are not very good marketers, or they are not good at marketing, they are not good at promoting themselves. So it's good to actually, take care of it once in a while, post once in a while to Twitter, post once in a while in Instagram. I used to be much more active than I am right now, but it's of course just due to the fact that I don't have that much time anymore. And this is what people that talk to me many times, I don't know if, maybe I actually should ask it. Who of you guys are artists here? Okay, quite a nice group of people. I would say around 7, 8 people, right? What people that I'm talking to, when I'm having like presentation, when I'm talking to them, what they see is like the imagined image of the success, right? They see like you have internet fame, you have rich, you have nice car, you go to parties, you have amazing holidays on some like warm countries, and you're overall happy. In no way I'm not gonna say that I'm not happy, I'm not depressed at all, but how do I actually have to structure it in my life, from my experience, looks like that. So overall happiness, as you can see, it's pretty quite high. I have a beautiful wife, I have an amazing dog, I still don't have kids, maybe in the future, but I cannot say I'm not happy, right? I'm working hard for what I have, and there are the fruits, right? There are the juices out of that. But I have problems with chronic pain, It can be either wrist, it can be eyes, it can be back, it can be neck, whatever you have. If we sit on our asses all day, it's not gonna end well, right? So you probably know it. You have some screwed relationships. This actually is pretty personal, but of course I screwed a lot of relationships with my friends, with some people that I, was hanging out with, because I was always, I'm not gonna drink this more, I'm gonna go back and grind. That was my attitude, and this probably screwed some of the relationships. I'm gonna go to insecurity later. Chronic insomnia, something that I said about the sleeping routine, right? This is very terrible at my situation. I'm very happy I don't need to wake up at 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning, even though I really respect such people. But I have chronic insomnia, even if I just lay down in the bed at 6 a.m., I'm just she's waking up to the work and I'm just going to bed, this is not healthy, and I just have some problems sometimes with falling asleep. But I'm working on it, I'm working towards making that change. Caring about your career is a big thing, because whatever you do, you always need to make a quality check, you always make sure that the clients get what you deliver, that the clients get the best of your versions, right? The best of yourself. Those cliche stuff, like internet fame, richness, nice car parties, I'm gonna scrap, because you can just calculate it on your own. I have certain aspects that I can say that, these things I have, but it's not that much important to me as overall happiness, which is much higher. But as you can see, the higher graph, the highest bar is actually insecurity. How would you ask me, why this guy is insecure about his work, right? I'm insecure because I'm constantly not happy with what I do, and I just want to deliver better stuff. It's not that I feel insecure by some people, but I'm insecure about my inner Darek that tells me you should do this, you should do that, you should try this, you should grind for more in that area or another. This is what I'm basically fighting for. This is my little devil inside that I'm definitely need to dealing with, right? So it's very important. If you're an artist, you are also probably very emotional. You are attached to what you do, and you want to basically deliver the best stuff, which in fact increases and impact your insecurity, right? So how actually we can make money in the art industry, and how much you actually can generate the money? Just to make things straight, in this field, in game dev, in film industry, there is a lot of money. So the first thing that I always keep telling to my students, is like you should never really be afraid to value yourself, to ask for money, to ask for more. Because if you value yourself, client will value it too. If you don't value yourself, no one's gonna do. So these are the rates that I'm presenting from the gaming industry for the concept artists. And as you can see, it's yearly earnings. So junior concept artists can earn up anything from 40 to 60,000. This is in USD dollars. Concept artists that have like a 3 to 5 years experience can earn up to 90,000. Senior guys who works close with art direction, they actually have also their own teams. They can end up having $140,000 per year. And art director, production designers, and those like more senior positions can get even more, you know, like 150, 200,000. I know some IP art directors that even earn more than $500,000 per year, which is pretty good money, right? You can sound like, yeah, this is pretty good. But if you compare it to what the projects are generating in terms of the numbers, it's all right. You know, it's a good money, but it's definitely, you know, like still for amount of experience and amount of like duties and responsibility you hold, I think it's definitely worth it. But it's still not, you're not millionaire, right, so to speak. I rather operate with the rates per day, which is basically taken from the film industry. In film industry, I never really experienced like more of like a junior concept artist. It's more like a regular concept artist. There's regular guys, senior guys, art directors, and production designers, right? As you can see, regular guys can end up having like $250 per day, up to 400. It can of course change, right? It can be 350, it can be 425 or whatever, but just to give you like a range of scope. The better ones or the more experienced ones can end up 700, 800 per day, which is pretty good money already, right? Senior guys also can start like $800 per day until $1,200 per day, which is pretty good money already, that's for sure. And art director and production designers can end up having like 1,500 per day plus. And the plus is basically where the roof is. There is no roof because if the client pays, it's just where the roof is, right? And basically what is really important, like you can say, oh, this is like amazing money, but it's taken from my experience when I'm just freelancing most of the time. And you have to make sure that you have a proper workflow and proper work routine, that you have the work secured for most or majority of the year. If you end up having the job for a week with those rates, you will have like a hard times like you know, sustaining the life, right, or making the living, right? So it's very important to find your little balance in it, right? And be fair to yourself. You cannot be junior guy or you cannot be regular concept artist that earn like this. Because in the end of the day, it will cut you up. You know, those people are getting paid for the experience, that for the consultancy, for the help on the fleshing out the production, not just making the pictures, right? So it's very important that you guys keep that in mind. And this is just basically very overall experience that I experienced and from the people that I work with, which is already a good money. But to make sure that you guys have the job secured for majority of the year. Otherwise, it will be very hard. And maybe it will be better to negotiate a whole year contract with a certain company, right? Throughout the year, I work with like 10, 12 different clients, so it's a little bit different because I can negotiate those rates individually with them. And the artist is not a businessman. It's something that I already mentioned in the very beginning. I wasn't born a businessman. I was the worst person like to that. You know, I remember my first commissions. I remember that I was just earning pennies, you know, like just basically nothing, just doing stuff for like scraps. But I was always, as I told you before, I was always stubborn. I was always hungry for getting more information. I was asking people who were more experienced than me, who are more clever, how can I rate or how can I, you know, value my work? And to that, some life experiences that I had in the past also helped me getting thick-skinned, and it helped me to become better businessman in general. So there are certain things that you can or certain characteristics that you have to have in order to become a good artist and businessman, right? You have to be communicative. You have to be a good problem solver, right? This is like very art-friendly term. You have to be certain of your skills. You don't want to be an asshole. You don't want to be a bad people to others, but you have to be confident about what you do and how well you are skilled. You have to be inspiring. You have to be hardworking. I think this is pretty much straightforward, but it's very important for me. Always hungry, as I said many times today in this talk, always being hungry, always being open-minded. If I work with my people, I have a team of people that will help me on some projects, and if I work with the guys that are like 10 years younger than me, I'm always hungry. I'm always trying to learn from them as well. It's because I'm staying open-minded. If I just tell them, hey, I'm your art director, do this thing, you know, like, and don't ask me for anything, you know, like, if I'm gonna be this guy, I'm not gonna learn anything. I just want to learn always, which basically is the main feature of being hungry, and it helps me because I'm staying open-minded. You know, it's very important. Of course, being creative, responsible is super important, especially if you deal with the client. Dudes, clients sometimes dealing with them is like a pain in the butt, you know, like it's just basically. Sometimes the clients come in because they are hyped about your work, but it ends up being like the from love to hate relationship. So like it has to be like really, you have to be good in terms of like how to explain to them certain things, how to be good communicative in terms of those like verbal and social skills, right? What else? A true leader, only if you have team, of course, but it's good when you actually have certain confidence that you can show in the team, even when you are on the lower grade art, or if you are starting out beginner. If you showcase certain principles or certain features of your character, it's only gonna get you farther. Friendly. I love working with friendly people. You know, like this is the worst thing if someone is not friendly, and it's not friendly, of course, comes with open-minded, but if you're not friendly, you destroy the whole atmosphere in the production. You know, like I've been working in the big companies. I've been working in Sony. I've been working in EA. I've been visiting Blur Studio, Disney, and what's not. And if you're not friendly, every dream job can be a nightmare. You know, so that's why I want to create, being surrounded by people who are friendly and or open-minded, because I want to be the same to them, and I always try to. So it's very important, right? These are like the characteristics. You can basically add more to that probably, but this is the main course of like what's the characteristic that you need. And there are certain things that help me steer myself towards certain mindset. Like for instance, if some students ask me like, hey, what should I study? Because I just don't know how to draw hands, or I don't know how to design mech, or I don't know how to make environment that consists of some architecture. Just study. I'm always saying that just study the topics that you like. If you like movies, do life still, like movie still studies. If you like, for instance, the nature, go out, do some plein air painting. You know, if you like characters, just draw gesture drawings, and you basically become like more fluid, basically more dynamic with your sketching skills, right? Very important is keep grinding, you know, like you have a lot of schools these days, not self-promoting that, but I'm also running Focal Point School, which is a great place for the concept artists that actually want to get a job in the concept art field. We go through all the main fundamentals, all the way to the most advanced techniques, which is basically keeping you grinding, right? You want to keep grinding because you want to feel more fulfilled and less insecure about your art in general, right? Be versatile, but don't forget about your main thing. This is something that I said in the beginning, right? Don't forget about your main horse. Work out your routine. It's very important. I'm not the best person in the routine. I'm trying to change it many times. I'm trying to actually improve it. A lot of things happened that I improved it. A lot of things happened that I still failing. Understand efficient learning. This can actually be connected with study topics that inspire you. And don't overwork yourself. It's very important. I overworked myself a couple times. I end up in a hospital because of that, and basically it's not a big fun. So please don't do that. And just to summarize, it's like a business kind of talk. How can we monetize our art? For those that are artists, it's going to be very, I think, important. Of course, majority of income, in my case, come from professional work, to doing like concept art projects per year, helping fleshing out certain TV series, movies, games. This is majority of my income. The other thing is running the art school, and this can be 20%, sometimes it can be 50-50 with the professional work. I'm just gonna say this 20. Merchandise. I'm not the best person in it, but I know a lot of amazing artists that don't do this, and instead they focus on merchandising. So they do like t-shirts, they do like posters, they do their own characters, they come up with like their own IPs, and they sell it as a merchandise, which basically become their main business. I'm not the best person in it, so I'm not doing that because I don't feel it for now. And the last thing can be royalties, can be NFTs, can be a lot of those new markets that you are feed today with like on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'm also not the biggest fan of that. I rather like to do like some prints, for instance, right? Just once in a while. So in that way, I started my print store like 2 years ago during the pandemic because like, yeah, the job was still there, but there was definitely some insecurity on the market. Even in the biggest companies, some of the projects that I had scheduled with Netflix, with Disney, they were kind of like put on hold. So I figured out, you know, like I have such a collection of personal pieces. So of course they need to be copyright free. It's not the job that I do for commercial ones. I just had my personal pieces, and I started basically building the website for the prints. It basically turned out pretty well. We were shipping a lot of prints. Sometimes, of course, prints were getting reverted to Poland because of the pandemics, and some flights couldn't deliver that. But it's another story. But what I actually do to create this business, this is an example of how I curate and care about each business, right? I do dedicated website, right? This is basically for the presentational purposes, to showcase the people what they will get, right? To basically show them the product. Dedicated email, dedicated newsletter, I think is pretty straightforward. I link up the business to my social networks, right? That's, of course, for purpose that I'm building the social media presence, because maybe in the future I will need that to actually promote such stuff. If I just build this print and didn't tell anyone, probably no one would buy any print at all, because no one would actually know that such thing exists. So it's very important to propagate it also through your channels. The other thing that I also mentioned quite a few times today is quality control. Whatever I do, I always care about quality. I always care about doing the stuff that I'm familiar with, and I know I can deliver the quality. If something is just failing, I'm just sitting, looking at the mirror, talking to myself, should I actually improve it or should I actually scrap it? You know, I'm always very honest to myself. Making sure the business speaks for yourself, that's what I actually said. Regular updates. You have to keep your base of, whether it's like fan base or customers, up to date with your regular stuff. So of course, newsletter, the regular updates for your social media, it's all very much important, right? Being active and maintaining good interaction. If you're not interactive, if you don't respond to emails, people will start to sniff like, this is a shady business, or this is like basically not working well, right? So always staying ahead and trying to be as communicative as you can. Up to date with current techniques and methods. It's maybe not to the prints, but actually it can be to the studio work that I'm trying to always stay up to date with today's technologies. We are, for instance, right now incorporating Unreal Engine to the workflows. For the prints, it can be maybe better material for the canvas quality, right? Maybe this would be the good staying up to date with the technology. And always thinking ahead of the time. Basically, it's always hard to predict the future, but you have to somehow predict if you are gonna make it well or if you're not gonna make it well. If you basically want to devote to certain business, you need to make sure that the other business won't suffer, right? It's very important. And making sure all of the above is like 10 out of 10. And if something is 7 out of 10, fix that. Go back to that, refine it, make it better, right? So it's very important to be always truth to yourself, because if I feel like I'm neglecting that, it might not be the good thing for me to run such thing, So trying to be always as best, but at the same time being honest to yourself. And setting new goals is always staying hungry. That's, in my case, is gonna be the term that I'm gonna end this talk. My time is actually over anyway. So thank you guys for listening to that. Remember, being hungry, like my little dog Pixel, is always giving you new joy. He always wants to play more. He always wants more food. I want more better jobs. I want more better projects. I want to create better art. That's why I'm staying hungry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Darek. Do you have any questions for Darek?
One, two. Hello, Derek. Dzięki bardzo for your speech. My name is Andy. I have some hot question about current modern thing as AI. What do you think about it?
I knew that someone was going to ask it.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
Because it's too modern.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually work on some projects right now that the client sent me the inspirational decks, and they are created with AI. And for me, it's like, it's kind of grain of salt, I'm not going to lie. I don't like when it's heading in terms of like copyright, in terms of like mishmashing artists' work. I see a lot of sometimes like even, prompts, and they have like my name in it. It's just kind of hurting. It's just basically not fun. But to make it more positive, I'm not totally against the technology because I always love trying new technology, but it needs to be regulated in a way that if it trains, and we can ask the question, what it will train on, right? If it cannot take the pictures. But if it trains and have like the mindset as a person, because I am also feeling myself with inspiration all the time, but I'm not ripping off someone else's hard work and putting it as my own, right? If it's gonna be legislated, if it's gonna be regulated, I think that has the potential to be used in the industry. But many times these days, I have projects like, doing real architectural buildings and stuff that I can't imagine how I would creatively use AI. How I would use it to justify my design, changes or purposes, right? It might be great still for like mood boards, for like it might work like a Google search. You put some and you have like probably second or separate bar, like AI images, bam, bam, bam. And this for inspiration, for sure. But for main production, I don't see the place for it. Not in the nearest future. So don't be afraid. Because a lot of artists are, so yeah.
Thanks a lot. Great and really inspirational speech.
Thank you.
So some time ago, I've discovered a podcast with Viktor Antonov, the man behind the Dishonored series, Half-Life series.
Yeah.
And he proclaimed his vision on how to develop new worlds, how to come up with some ideas. And so his philosophy based on creating just one image after a certain amount of talks, dialogues with producers, with like nearest companies who he will be working with in the upcoming future. And so he thought that only one image from certain art director or art producer could totally express the world that they are speaking about. What do you think about that? Like, to be more precise, there are huge amount of art directors who are coming up with lots of images.
I know what you mean. Yeah, just one piece is gonna be establishing shot basically.
Yep.
Yeah, like it happens a lot of times, especially in the production. If you're starting the production, sometimes one piece can tell 100 words. Like it's and it's a big skill to have to actually incorporate all the things like. That it works together well, like composition, lighting, shapes, design, storytelling, characters, like a shape language, all that. It's very skillful artists that's gonna make it one picture. I know that people sometimes like to spam with plenty of ideas, but sometimes I'm also like that I like to have like one picture because I know that this picture sells everything, and you can just stare at it. This is always my main challenge if I do my personal pieces, that I want to create one piece that people not just gonna scroll, and they just want to stand, stop for it, and like basically understand, you know, try to understand the story behind it. Maybe try to find like little nuances that you can find in the composition. It's a big skill to have, you know. So I think it's, but I know also people that love doing a lot of iterations, and I respect that too. It's mostly depending what the client wants or what the production designer or director wants. You know, like it differs very much if you work with the director, for instance, for a movie, who was or who has artistic skills, who was an artist or actually has certain sensibilities, or the guy that just basically shoot the camera and he doesn't know what he do, you know? So this is basically very much different, and sometimes with the art guy, one thing, bam, one piece, and you sell the whole look. You have like a pitch deck, this is gonna be main banner for all the presentations, this is gonna sell the world. Sometimes the other things is like they make like a set of different pictures because they don't know what they want. It's basically becoming like just gelatin, you know? So.
Yeah, awesome, thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much, Darek. I also would like to thank you for donating one of your prints towards the charity auction. Thank you very much, Darek. Bring the round of applause.
Thank you.